little cracks. We love you, Lord, and we give this to you.
Bella. What was he just saying? What was he just
I'm Jackie, obviously. I grew up here in Sioux Falls. I did a year of school in Omaha to become a social worker. And I did a minor in Spanish as well, so I've been using that on the mission trips. I have worked with kids in foster care for 11 years now. After doing some searching on trying to decide what I wanted to do with my social work degree. So I've been doing that for 11 years. I've been attending Ransom for like 6.5-ish. I think November will be 7 years that I've been there. And been working with the kids ministry at Ransom for about the same amount of time. I do right now preschool kids, the 4 and 5-year-olds, and then also Ransom teens. And I have worked in the nursery as well. I don't know, I just always wanted to be around kids. I grew up with my mom doing daycare in our home for 10 years. And I was changing diapers and rocking babies at like 3 and 4 years old. So my mom used to say there was a few kids that I was the only one that could get them to sleep at nap time. And so I just kind of knew from the start that I wanted to have kids and be a mom, and yeah. And that's kind of where things started.
That's fantastic. So was there a moment where you knew God was calling you to adoption? Like, beyond loving kids and knowing you're going to be a mom, was like there a pivotal time in your life where you knew He was calling you to adoption?
There was a time where it got brought up and I completely denied it. I was actually having coffee with Pastor Phil one day, and we were just talking about life events. It was around the time my grandpa was dying from cancer. And my mom had been diagnosed with cancer, and so we were just having coffee and we were talking about what he could pray for me, because all of my prayers were for other people. And so I sat there and thought for a little bit, and I had just gotten out of a 7-year relationship, and we were talking, and I just kind of said, you know, for me becoming a mom, whatever that looks like. And he brought up adoption and that maybe I'm supposed to adopt, because obviously there's not a significant person in my life at that time. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, I don't know if that's for me or not. Hadn't been what I thought about. And so kind of a good 6 months or so went by and hadn't really thought about it again. And then I just kind of started praying more specifically about what it would look like for me to be a mom. And I have kind of what came to mind more than adoption was I have a cousin who has done in vitro twice. And so she's a single mom of 2 kids that are both full siblings. So I was kind of thinking, you know, maybe that's what my option is going to be too if I don't find the right guy. So I was kind of praying just more specifically about what does it look like for me to become a mom. And then, of course, a sermon at church threw adoption in my face over and over and over. So I then started praying about, you know, is adoption something for me? And continued praying about what it looks like to be a mom, whether it's adoption or in vitro or waiting for the right guy. And the more that I prayed those specifics, the more that adoption in every way of life kept becoming the topic. And so then I prayed more specifically about that and kind of talked to a few people that have adopted, and I just knew that that was what God wanted for me right now. I thought doing it on my own would be a challenge, or even being chosen, Bella, or even like being chosen as a single mom would be a hard thing. That was one thing that I asked the adoption worker a lot about is, you know, how often are there single parents that go through adoption? Like, am I even going to be chosen? Who would want to give their child to a single person if they feel that they can't do it themselves? I thought the money part was going to be a struggle as well, but the more I prayed about that, because obviously I didn't just have thousands of dollars sitting around waiting to hand over, but God came through in so many ways with the finances and just the stuff for her. And so yeah, I mean, I haven't really had a lot of big challenges. It's been things that have felt like they were gonna be big and turned into something really small.
Speaking of your support, what does your circle of support look like for you personally as a single mom? What does that circle of support look like for you?
So my parents are here in town as well. My mom is retired to be a full-time grandma, so she watches Kyla when I'm working. And even like when I was on my maternity leave, they were stopping over all the time, getting groceries for me. So my parents have been a huge support. My sister and her family are close as well. So we do a lot with the kids because her son is 4 months older than Kyla. So they play together a lot, they're besties. And they also go to daycare at grandma's too. I have a lot of friends in the area that are super supportive. Some really long-time friends from middle school and stuff for 10 plus years that have families of their own too. And so they've been excited to have a friend for their kids and watch Kyla grow. And but the church family is huge as well. I guess I kind of have people all over the place. I have a softball team that is super supportive as well, and they all love Kyla.
Where have you seen God at work?
Everywhere. Throughout the entire process. Obviously, I don't think I would have adopted if I hadn't listened to God, because, I mean, all the time I feel like God speaks to us and we either don't catch it or we ignore it. And I think I could have easily, like the first conversation that brought it up to me, I could have ignored it and brushed it off. And when it kept coming back, I decided that maybe this is something I need to pray more about and explore more. And so I think if I wouldn't have listened to that, I could have been in a totally different place right now. It's been a huge God thing through the entire process, from meeting her birth mom in the hospital to having literally a weekend to plan for her, from finding out that she was even going to be born and that I was chosen, and just trusting in the people around me to help me prepare in a weekend for a baby. Continued support over and over has been huge. Just overwhelming support from people that I have had very little contact with, to friends of family members. I feel like the entire process has been just God showering down on us. So.